Hello, my name is Jeremy Chroma, and I'm here to talk about a long-term athlete development. So the active start, kids who play football early to age 6 is about play and fundamental development abilities. Kids ought to have the option to mess around with active work through both organized and unstructured free play that consolidates an assortment of body developments. An early dynamic beginning upgrades the improvement of mind work, coordination, social abilities, net engine abilities, feelings, and creative mind. So this right here, when playing a sport is just by playing the sport, they start to develop some things um, that can add to the athleticism, whether it's quickness, aggression, different movements that they could do, just different abilities that they start to develop and they can add to their game and abilities later on. So this right here is the fundamentals. When talk about fundamentals, is things that you do that's in you and it's fun and it's nothing serious, but it's the fundamentals. So with the fundamentals part, young men from the age of 6 to 9, young ladies from the age of 67, are to partake in an assortment of very much organized exercises and foster principle development abilities and coordination. In any case, exercises and projects should keep an emphasis on fun and formal rivalry out to be just slightly presented. For kids who are interested in the sport of football, 6 to 8 years old will begin to join nearby or school groups and practice ball control and other abilities which require for players entering group football. These basics right here, these basics can be learned through week by week preparing. So this right here, that's when they start to do different exercises that evolves with their sport and just go on to the next stage that could help them enhance their game if they are willing to go far. So think about it as learning to train. So with this right here, learning to train is the development part. With ages 8 to 11, 9 to 12, people start to start training for things because most people who are young at this age don't really think about doing things like this because they decide to play the sport. But for individuals who are very serious, they make the decision to prepare themselves on a high level and do everything. But learning to train, this is when the athlete starts to learn the game within the game by doing certain exercises. So based on things that they see, they are willing to do, but the thing about it is that they don't know how to do it and they have to uh, learn to do it. For example, tackling. They see people tackling, which is pretty entertaining to them, but they don't know how to tackle. So for them to know how to tackle, they have to learn because if you tackle the wrong way, bad injuries can happen and we don't want for bad injuries to happen to you. So train to train. Ages 11 to 6, they start to develop an aerobic stage, developing speed, strength, just different athletic abilities for, uh, you know, for their sport and enhance their athletic ability so that they could play the game that they want to play the game. So with this right here, it talks about preparation, training, where you start to develop muscles, whether it's lifting weights, speed workouts, whether it's speed training, or developing skills, whether it's going to football training, going to football trainers, and you want to take your game to another level. With this right here, you have to put in the time and everything that it takes for you to go to that high level if you're willing to go to that high level. So training to compete. With training to compete. This stage is about optimizing the engine and teaching participants how to compete. They can either choose to specialize in one sport and pursue a competitive stream, or continue participating at a recreational level and thereby enter the active for life stage. In the competitive stream, high volume and high intensity training begins to occur year round. So this right here, a great example that I could talk about is the off season. The off season is a time where you're not playing the sport, but you are training for the sport. And with this happening year round, it's like after the season, you did what you had to do in the season. But the thing about it is like, even though you did what you had to do during the season, what can you get better on? What can you work on to become a better athlete? So it's just many different things like that where you want to train well for your competition. And if you don't want to do that, then what's the point of you going through things that you're not going to really take serious? So train to win. Training to win is when you are preparing, training everything, where your training becomes your instinct, and you go out there and just show your abilities. So this right here, it states that elite athletes will identify talent enter this stage to pursue the most intense training suitable for international winning performances. Athletes with disability and able-bodied athletes alike require world-class training methods, equipment, and facilities that meet their personal demands and the demands of a sport. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you need something that's going to help you, take advantage of the opportunity here. And if you don't take advantage of the opportunity, how will you develop yourself to become the person that you dream of becoming, or even become better? So Active for Life, right here, it talks about a lot of things where when playing the sport, you play a sport for a long time, but it doesn't last forever. For professional athletes who do these things, they play a sport for a long time, but after that, you have to do something. So whether it's like you're playing all the way until you're 30 something years old, you still have, it might be old to people who are in a professional league, but it is it is but it is young to people who are out there in the real world. And when you're out there in the real world, you have a lot of life to live. Most people live in a lifespan of 70 to 80 years. So it's like with that, you're young, do something else with your life. And people who want to stay within the game, want to become coaches, officials, doesn't matter. Just take some things that they could use for their life or even the coaching. So with this right here, the sport doesn't last forever. No matter which sport you play, the sport doesn't last forever, but you take the things that would stick with you and use it for your real life or the sport that you coach in. So I'm Jeremy Chroma. Here now I talked about my presentation, and I hope that you take something, guys who are viewing this, you take something from it and learn from it. Just go about how you do things, have an approach to it, different approach, whether if it's training, whether it's not training and you're in the real world. Hope that you have a different approach or even a better approach. So I'm Jeremy Crone once again, signing out. Thank you.